Dr. Rajan.
Good morning.
I'm sorry I missed yesterday's class. There was something urgent that came up. But would the recording be available?
Well, I'm sure it'll be available, and at the end of the session today, I'll send the recording for yesterday and today to everyone.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So let's begin. It's 10 o'clock. So just as a reminder for everyone, yesterday we have gone through the entire overview and the full Yoga Sutras. We have completed it, right? So now it is a recap going line by line. But there is one warning for everyone. The warning for everyone is the Yoga Sutras, as I reminded everyone yesterday, is written as an essay. It is not, each sutra cannot be picked out. You have to read whole bunch of sutras and read it like a paragraph. Unfortunately, in the area of Yoga Sutras, people try to read it like the Brahma Sutras. Because Vyasa created the Brahma Sutras, as I mentioned yesterday, and each line refers to an Upanishadic statement. Okay? The Yoga Sutras cannot be read like the Brahma Sutras. Okay? So with that understanding, let's begin. And I will take you straight, since of course we have to go line by line, whether we like it or not, we are going to be you're going to have to review it in the screen.
Can I ask a short question before that? Just a clarification from yesterday.
Yes.
Okay. Yesterday you talked about 6 philosophical systems of India, and some of them are theistic and others are non-theistic. And then some are...
Okay, carry on.
Some are religious and others are not religious. For example, Yoga Sutra is theistic and not religious. So, was I right to say that some of the philosophies are theistic and others non-theistic?
Okay, let's put it this way.
But my question was, okay, go ahead. Yeah, my question was, I've not asked you my question. Yeah.
The 6 ancient philosophies, from an academic sense, they will say that the Sankhya and Vaisheshika philosophies are non-theistic and the others are all theistic. The Mimamsa and the Vedanta philosophy have connection to religion. The other 4 are simply spirituality without any religion's attachment, right?
Yeah. So my question was, religious, you can only talk about religious if it's a theistic philosophy, but there is no question of religious associated with a non-theistic philosophy, correct?
Actually, that is correct. Actually, not correct. You can even also have a non-theistic religion like Buddhism.
Yes.
Okay. And the other part of it is the representation of the some of these, like the Vaisheshika and the Sankhya, as being non-theistic is the academic view. And I'm not sure whether that is correct or not.
Okay. So, but when we talk about, if you talk about religious versus non-religious, if it's purely abstract, you would say that it's non-religious, correct? But if there is some kind of a ritualistic or some kind of a, action or some kind of a ceremonious thing associated with it, then you would say it's religious. Is that a categorization accurate?
The best way to understand religion versus spirituality is as follows. When there is superconductivity, there is no resistance whatever, you are able to connect into the highest state of awareness in your meditative awareness. You realize the spiritual existence. But then, since everybody cannot get over there, if when people do focused practices to attain towards there, what happens is they're working in a domain of high level of resistance. So when there is high level of resistance, you are unable to access the highest reality. So religions are practices, whereas the yogic realization is spiritual. So in other words, when you are completely, fully connected over there, religion has no meaning at all to you. Whereas on the other hand, when there is density, when you're trying to percolate into the physical world, then it manifests as practices and religion.
Okay, thank you.
The question is, what is religion? I just Googled what is religion in Wikipedia. It is the belief on some personalized God or something. And
so a better way to understand is, yoga is the place of no beliefs and assumptions, but that of pure experience. So in the spiritual world, you're just seeking to learn from your experience. Whereas if you're going into the assumptions and beliefs, you go into religion.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, associated with that is some practices. Okay. So a lot of people are trying to make yoga into religion, and we are trying to get away from it. Okay. So let's begin now. The first chapter. Did we have the captions activated? Okay. Okay. So we are going. So I'm going to share now. You will all recall now we are beginning the line by line from the first chapter on. Okay, here we go. So the first chapter, the Samadhipada, the first quarter with 51 sutras. The first sutra reads, Atha Yoga Anushasanam. So the translation is very simple. Thus yoga is instructed. Yogaha Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yesterday we had extensive discussion about the concept of Chitta and Vritti. Chitta is our computing processor, and attached to the Chitta are all the programs, what in chapter 2 will be called as karmas and kleshas. And that working through the processor, through the Chitta, creates activation. And the activation is the vritti. And we also spoke the word nirodha should be understood in a very special way. Remember the prefix ni. The prefix ni means something that should be understood in a special way. Nirodha, rodha is to oppose. Nirodha means to oppose in a special way. Oppose in a special way means yoga is regulated reaction. So opposing in a special way means regulating the reaction of the chitta vritti, that is the expression of the chitta, is what yoga is all about. So why is the word regulation so important? And it's not opposing. It is you are unaffected by things that are simply chatter. Whereas on the other hand, when you're born into your being, your body, there are duties to do. And those are the places where you have to engage in. So it is regulated reaction. Everybody clear on that? The third sutra goes, Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Tada, then, drashtuhu means having seen. Swarupa means your own form. Avasthanam, being established there. So in other words, once you're able to regulate the expression of the chitta, where unwanted things are not chattering within you and you're not being affected by them, then in which case you're able to observe your true reality, your true nature. Vritti sarupyam itaratra. That's the fourth one. Vritti sarupyam. Vritti is the expressions, the activation. The expression sarupyam is the nature of the form. Itaratra, when not in that state or otherwise. Itaratra means otherwise. So when you're not in your true reality state, you associate yourself with your activations. The way you speak, the way you think, the way you look, and all of these is what you think you are the person, but that's not the true reality. So this is the first four sutras of the Yoga Sutras. But now, as you can see over here, these four sutras together, read as a paragraph, immediately tells you that Patanjali Muni, remember the first chapter is an introductory overview, right? So in very simple terms, he's trying to say, not being affected by all the chatter that hits you, that is the way in which you begin to understand your true reality. And that is the purpose of yoga. Yoga is going into that state. And when you're not in that state, then you think all the expressions is who you are. You think you're the body, you think you're the mind, and all of that. Now, he goes to describe the second paragraph. What is the nature of all these activations, these expressions? So, in Sanskrit, the word vritti, when plural, becomes vritayaha. Vritayaha, panchatayaha. Panchatayaha means fivefold. Klishtaha, aklishtaha, painful or not painful. So the vrittis or expressions of the chitta are of 5 kinds and can be painful or not painful. And what are the 5 kinds? So Sutra number 6 says, Pramana viparyaya vikalpa nidra smritayaha. Remember again, this is the introductory overview. So you're giving simplistic concepts. Like, for example, when somebody asked about spirituality and religion, I was trying to use superconductivity and density and all of those as an example, right? So here, you can see over here, the examples, the point made over here to illustrate it is, pramana means evidence-based thinking. Pramana means proof. Pramana means, evidence-based thinking. And viparyaya means opposite way of thinking. Yeah, in other words, you have misconception. Vikalpa, and remember the word, remember the prefix V. When we use the we described yesterday, when the prefix V is used in Sanskrit, it means either vishesha or viparita. That means special or opposite, right? In this case, it is opposite. Well, how do you understand the word viparyaya? Paryaya is really pari and aya. Pari means whatever is around you. Aya means what comes to you from there. So whatever you're experiencing from there, you think of it as opposite, viparyaya. So, Shobha, you like the way how to understand the Sanskrit word, right? Now, vikalpa means what? Kalpa means imagination. Vikalpa means, if it is vishesha kalpa or viparita kalpa, it means something where you're completely in a stage where you're not even in sync with reality, right? Then the nidra means sleep, and smriti means memory. Smritayaha is the plural relative to all the 5 together in the Sanskrit case ending. However, Patanjali Muni is going to define each one of these in the next few sutras. This slide over here only covers part of this paragraph. The next slide continues the paragraph. So here, first he is going to explain what is pramana. So tatra, there, pratyaksha. What is pratyaksha? Prati aksha. Prati means what is coming towards you in front of you, right? Prati aksha. Aksha is what you observe. So pratyaksha means your direct experience of what you observe. Anumana agamaha pramanani. So what is the nature of pramana or evidence-based thinking? It has 3 components. Whatever you observe directly, your direct experience. Anumana means inference. And agamaha means what has come from before. Many people in the discussion of the Yoga Sutras will say agama means the Vedas. Don't get confused over there. Agama means everything that has come from before. It could be the Vedas, of course, no problem. But the thing is, basically, as I was saying yesterday, we all stand on the shoulders of our predecessors who have already built up a knowledge base, and we build on the top, right? So whatever we know from before, agamaha means what has come from before. So for instance, you and I have not gone to the moon, but then we know astronauts who have gone over there, taken pictures, brought samples from there. And when people say the moon is round, only one face of the moon we are able to see, the other backside is fully dark and things like that. So we believe all of that because from previous people who have gone over there and tested and various other things, we accept it, right? So, but we don't have direct experience of it. So these are the three kinds of evidence-based thinking. The next one is viparyayo mithya jnanam atadrupam pratishtitam. So he's now explaining what is viparyaya. We have already said paryaya means sensing what is there around you, and viparyaya means not sensing it at all or effectively getting misconception. So misconception is established in malformed false knowledge. So how does the words come over there? Jnanam is knowledge, atadrupam is malformed, pratishtitam means established. So next, the continuing of this paragraph of all the nature of these chitta vrittis, he's talking about now the vikalpa. Vikalpa or delusion, what is the nature of it? Shabda jnana anupati vastu shunyo vikalpa. See, the word shabda, very often people think as the word, right? But on the other hand, from a deeper Sanskrit meaning, the word shabda also means vibrations. It is said shabda is the basis of all of creation. Okay? So, shabda is, if you think of it as vibration, everything that you see in existence is as a result of vibration. So if you think of Shabda Jnana, knowledge of vibration, Anupati, what follows from it, Vastu Shunyo, materially baseless. Shunya means baseless or zero. Vastu means matter, so materially baseless, Vikalpa. So in other words, what happens is, what is possible within the zone of vibrations in all of creations, but yet it is materially baseness, is Vikalpa. So delusion is you start imagining things that are not there. That is delusion, right? Next is Sutra number 10. Abhava pratyaya alambana vrittihi nidra. Abhava, not having, lacking. Pratyaya. But remember the word pratyaya? Prati and aya. Prati, what comes towards you or in front of you. Aya means what you receive from there. So it is usually translated as belief or your conviction and things like that, right? So in the state in which, and by the way, alambana is, you can call it as a state, and vritti means activation, nidra. So nidra is the nature of the state when you have no conscious beliefs in you, like when you're not aware of what is hitting you from outside. Pratyaya, you're not aware of what's coming to you from outside. So that state is what is sleep. So the expression of the state of being with inability to respond is sleep. Actually, inability to respond is okay, but really inability to sense is what it is. Pratyaya literally means inability to sense and, get conviction out of it. Okay? Anubhuta Vishaya Asampramoshaha Smriti. Smriti, memory, is Anubhuta, what you have experienced, Vishaya, subject matter, Asampramoshaha. See, this is very interesting. Pramoshaha, Sampramoshaha, Asampramoshaha. Actually, Pramoshaha means remembering things. Sampramoshaha means completely, Pramoshaha means forgetting, and Sampramoshaha means forgetting completely. Asampramoshaha means that which is not forgotten. So it is very interesting the way in which Patanjali Muni has used this word is for a very, very special reason. If you understand, if you think of something that is there in your memory, you have to go dig deep. It's not there on the top of your mind, right? So, like for example, if I asked you, what were you doing 1 week back? It doesn't come back to you all of this thing at this time, 1 week back, where were you and what were you doing? You have to think a little and dig it out. It's not forgotten, but yet it's not there in the top of the mind, right? So that is why he uses this very complex language of asampramosha. Okay, so now let's continue. So that was the second paragraph. So remember now, In this first chapter, the first paragraph was a 4-line description of what is the nature of yoga. That is, if you are thinking of yourself as all the activation, you're not in yoga, but when you're being unaffected by it, that is the nature of yoga. So very simple 4-line description he gives in the first part. Then he goes on to say, what are the types of activations that happen within you? So that's what you have seen so far. So you have over here the 5 kinds of activations that have come from this, which we have already discussed. So I'm going to move along. So now Sutra number 12 to 16 go into the point of how do you reach the state where you're unaffected by all of these activations of the chitta vrittis. So Sutra number 12, Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tat Nirodha. Abhyasa is practice, regular practice. Vairagya is being dispassionate, not being affected by things. Bhyam refers to both of them together, case ending of both of them together, Abhyasa and Vairagya together. Tat Nirodha. Tat, that. Nirodha is regulated. So what is regulated? That refers to the chitta. By practice and attitude of detachment, one is unaffected by that. That is the vrittis, the chitta vrittis. Tatra sthitau yatnaha abhyasaha. Tatra is there, sthitau being established there, yatnaha is effort, abhyasa is practice. So when he has just told you that the way to go about not being affected by the chitta vrittis is to do regular practice of being a dispassionate observer. So now he's going to tell you what is the meaning of the regular practice, and then he's going to tell you what is the meaning of being a dispassionate observer. Okay, so it's the 3rd paragraph of the 1st chapter. There among the two, that is when it says Tatra Sthitau, Sthitau refers to the plurality of the 2 elements, that is practice and dispassion. There among the two, established, being steadfast is being established, effort is practice. So when you have steadfast effort, that is the nature of practice. In other words, he's saying the effort has to be regular, and that's a point made there. 14, Satu Dirgha Kala Nairantarya Satkara Sevito Dhrida Bhumihi. Dhrida Bhumihi means it gets well established in the material principle. So what gets established? Satu, Satu means that indeed. Dirgha Kala means over a long time. Nairantarya means uninterrupted. Satkara means with positive thinking. Sevito is to offer Dhrida Bhumi. So what happens is, when you do regular practice, it has to be done with earnestness, and it should be done, all of this will only fruition when it is done without interruption regularly over a long period of time. That is the nature of practice and how you are able to attain the ability not to be affected by the activation of the chitta vritti. So now he is going to tell you the nature of vairagya. Drashta anushravika vishaya vitrishnasya vashikara samya vairagyam. What is vairagya? He is saying drashta means whatever is seen, anushravika means whatever is heard, vishaya is subject matter, vitrishnasya means being detached, being unaffected by it, vashikara means what engrosses you, samknya, that awareness, is what is the nature of vairagya or dispassion. So in other words, dispassion is of a nature where you're unaffected by whatever you hear and or whatever you see, and you're fully engrossed in that dispassion, this thing. So the words over there given in the translation tries to be honest to what you have over there. Non-attachment, that is Vairagya, is the fully engrossed awareness where one is unaffected from what one sees or hears. Okay? So, Sutra number 16, Tat Param Purusha Khyatehe Guna Vaitrishniyam. Oh, this is very interesting. The thing is basically, Tat, that. Param means supreme. Purusha means, we discussed yesterday what Purusha means, right? The unchanging principle, you can think of it as the soul or, more associated with the unmanifest. Purusha. Khyatehe. So, Param Purusha Khyate. Khyate means because of. So, because of that supreme Purusha, Guna Vaitrishniyam, you're becoming unaffected by the vibrations of the activations of the Chitta. Right? So, that is he has already brought in here that how you're able to attain that is because of the higher nature being established in the higher nature with the unmanifest. That connecting with the unmanifest is what takes you into that nature where you can be a pure observer unaffected by the reactions outside. So this is this the fourth chapter, fourth paragraph, right? So now let's go to the next sutra. Sutra number 17 is the beginning of the next paragraph. Vitarka vichara ananda asmita rupa anugamat samprajnataha. Okay, this is a very important statement here, and this is like giving you the final reward of yoga very quickly in the 17th sutra in the first chapter, but then only later on you realize this is a very long way out. This is the final stage. What is the final stage? When you're able to be a pure observer and you reach the state where, because of your connection with the unmanifest, you're being unaffected by whatever hits you from everywhere, right? In that state, through a process of vitarka vichara ananda asmita, you can reach the state of having samprajnataha state. So let's parse it one by one. Jnata means knowing. Prajnata means knowing the higher cosmic reality. Samprajnata means samyak prajnata, means complete awareness of the cosmic knowledge and existence. So how do you get complete knowledge of the cosmic existence? It comes from after you have gone into the state where you have been able to connect into the unmanifest. You go through a process of vitarka. Vitarka means questioning. Vichara means reflection. Ananda means letting go. So you question, you reflect, and let go. When you let go, in that state of your connectivity that is happening, with your sense of me, the experiencer, you are able to imbibe that knowledge that comes to you cosmically through intuition. Anugamat means flows from it. Rupa is form, anugamat samprajnata. So you become a fully wise person, the state of complete intuitive knowledge, when it comes from questioning, reflection, and peace within, that is the ananda, that is letting go, in the highest meditation, in the ananda of samadhi, and then with the sense of the self sense of who experiences. We need to be very careful here to understand, unless you have the sense of being an experiencer, you cannot experience spirituality or knowledge, right? So that is why he lays this out like this. By the way, this statement, the same process is called samyama in the 3rd chapter. Okay? So, but here being the introductory chapter, he's giving you an overview. So he's giving you the beginning and he's giving you a reflection of the end both of them together in one shot, right? So this is the beginning of, as we said, the 5th paragraph, but it continues from here. What continues from here is Virama pratyaya abhyasa purvaha sanskara shesha anyaha. Anya means different. Anyaha means is different. Sanskara shesha, the remaining sanskars or pattern. Remember the word sanskara we discussed yesterday? It is all the program content within you. Anyaha. So what happens is, he's making a statement. Virama means stopping. Pratyaya, what is coming to you from outside. So what has happened? You're being unaffected by everything that hits you from outside. Abhyasa purvaha, after having practiced or the regular practice that you have been doing. Sanskara shesha, there may be still programs left within you, and that is a different state, anya. So in other words, he gave you the highest you can reach in the sutra number 17, and then he backtracks and says, oh, by the way, if you're able to stop all the chatter of the mind and you're able to, after long practice, there may be still programs left within you, and that's a different thing. So when the reactive nature has subsided after sufficient practice, with the sanskaras or impressions remaining is another issue. So a point he's making. By the way, all the translations here are being true to the words there. Sometimes it's easier to understand when I explain it in a more common way. Bhava pratyayo videha prakriti layana. Bhava means anything that is of the nature of creation. Even vibration is creation. Pratyayo means, pratyayo, whatever hits you, anything in the nature of creation that you associate with, that hits you. Videha prakriti layana. Videha means, actually, again remember the prefix V. It can mean Vishesha deha or Viparita deha. In this case, it should be understood as Videha is Vishesha deha, Prakriti layana. Laya means to get merged into that. Prakriti, we all know, is Kriti means composition. Prakriti means the first composition that is divinely connected, and so Prakriti is the source of all manifestation, right? So the thing is, basically, what does this really mean? In the zone of vibration is where all the devatas and spirits and all of that exist, right? So if you get latched into any spirit, into any devatas, any form, you'll only go and merge in that. Yoga is the land of no assumptions, and it leads you to the highest, right? Whereas on the other hand, if you have assumptions in your mind, if you have some belief in some Babaji, you have belief in some God name or form, and that's where you focus your attention, that's as far as you will go. You will not go to the highest reality. Okay? So when one responds to entities related to creation, that's a translation of Bhava Pratyayoho, they merge with the energy of the program of Prakriti without physical body, the world of spirits. Okay. Shraddha Virya Smriti Samadhi Prajna Purvaka Itaresham. But even to attain the experience of all these devatas, these vibrations, these spirits and all of these, that you attain it how? You attain all of these, Itaresham, all of these. After Shraddha means having faith. Viryam means having energy in that faith. Then Smriti is remembering or memory, and then that leads you into Samadhi, and out of that, Samadhi is the connectivity, out of which comes the Prajna or the intuitive awareness. Purvaka, only after that, all of these states, where whichever of these, even to experience spirits beyond, it's only after going through meditation and connecting beyond the physical body, right? So this is the point being made over here. This concludes the 5th paragraph of the 1st chapter, and this is one complete section. Remember yesterday when we went over the overview, we said the first chapter can be viewed as 3 sections. This is the chapter, the Sutra 1 to 20 is the first section. So what he has taken you for here is, Patanjali Muni has taken you right from the state of what is yoga. It's all about associating or being unaffected by the activation of the chitta, that is activation of the chitta vrittis. And then he goes from there all the way, how by being a pure observer, you can reach the state in a higher meditative state of greater awareness, and what are the different kinds of states you can receive or you can achieve. He has given you in a nutshell in the first, in the summary overview in the first 20 sutras over here. Sutra number 21 and 22 are not that relevant or great over here. But in any case, what I will do is I'll complete that before we go into the next element. Tivra samveganam asannaha. In other words, how do you attain this? It is according to the amount of effort you put into it. If you do more meditation, then in which case, and learn to be a dispassionate observer, then it will all happen to you in a faster speed. Okay? Mrudu madhya adhi matratvat tataha api visheshaha. That is, mrudu means little, madhya means middling, moderate, adhi means very high, excess, matratvat is the magnitude of it, tataha api visheshaha, tata of that, also is the what will you say, is special. So in other words, the real element is how much effort you put into it. That's what leads you into it. So as you can see, there is not much great, too much to be made of over here. And I'm going to pause over here, having, completed the first part of the first chapter. And I'm going to open here for any questions from anyone. You see the flow beginning from the activation of the chitta and not being affected by it, by being a pure observer, that leads you into the meditative state, and being unaffected by everything around you is because of the, as what he says is, the Supreme Purusha. In other words, because of that spiritual connectivity into the unmanifest, that is why you're able to reach that state. And then after that, he goes on to say, what are the different types of awareness that can come from it? Everybody okay? Can we proceed to the next section? Yeah, Bhairavi, go ahead.
Dr. Narayanan, in number 117, when he refers to Ananda, is he saying not being affected by joy or happiness?
Okay. The concept of Ananda is letting go. Akuna Matata, from the Lion King, that is what Ananda means. Right? Letting go. Right? All clear? Okay.
Yes,
I have
thank you.
a question. When we were going through stanzas 3 and 4, those words Swarupa and Swarupyam, they are different words. Swarupa is your own self, but Swarupya means something totally different, right?
Actually, Swarupyam is the abstract noun. Swarupa is what you can say, Swarupa is form. Sarupyam is in the nature of the form.
Thank you.
That's all.
You use the word chitta separately and vritti, but many a time you use it as chitta vritti. So is that just as used as one concept, or you take chitta separately and vritti separately?
No, chitta and vritti are separate.
Okay.
Chitta is the processor. Vritti is the activation of the processes induced by the programs within the karmas and kleshas.
Okay, so you're using the word chitta vritti as one word many a time.
The chitta vritti is what we normally experience, and that's what we normally identify it. But our chitta and vrittis are the chitta is distinct from the programs underlying it, which causes the chitta to activate as chitta vritti.
Okay, Good. Thank you.
Nayananji, why does Patanjali say klishta, aklishta? How can the vrittis be painful or not painful? What does it mean?
Okay, I'm going to give you something that is direct to you. You had a challenge dealing with your daughter to make sure she is doing good in her 12th grade, right? How painful was it for you? Okay? At the same time, when you all went on a family vacation for you, you were all in a different state, right? So the chitta vrittis can be demanding of you or can be highly enjoyable of it, right? So everything in life is like that, right? There is both nectar and poison both mixed together in all our activities. Right? Okay. So let's continue. So now we go on to the second part of the first chapter. And here he is going to introduce the concept of God, right? So here we go. You can attain that state. Ishvara pranidhanat va. Va means or by surrender to God or Ishvara, you can reach that similar states of going described in Sutra 17 to 20, right? So there is nothing more to be said here. Now he is going to describe for you what is the nature of God. And you can understand this Bhakti Yoga and a lot of the religions are based on this. Next is Sutra number 24. Klesha karma vipaka ashaihi aparamrishta purusha vishesha ishvaraha. He is defining for you what is God. Ishvara, literally the word means the Lord and controller. Okay? So who is the Lord and controller? What is the nature of Lord and controller? The nature of Lord and controller is defined here. Klesha karma vipaka ashaihi. Let's take those four words together. Klesha means blemish. Karma means the reactions that form new programs within. And the klesha is the original program, the original sin and the new program that you add on. Vipaka means fruitioning. Ashaihi is being supported by. So in other words, what is happening is when you're normal people, we are all born and we come with the original programs, and then by our own reactivity we create more karmas, and that is what when they fruition, it makes us who we are in our life, and that's what our life rests on, and we have to engage with all of that. However, in the case of God, it is different. The fifth word says aparamrishta. Aparamrishta means unaffected or untouched by. Okay? Aparamrishta means paramrishta means actually even in the subtlest and highest sense untouched by. Okay? Aparamrishta purusha vishesha. The special purusha is Ishvara. So God or Ishvara, the special purusha, is untouched by the presence of the fruitioning of kleshas and karma patterns. Tatra, Sutra number 25, Tatra Niratishayam Sarvajna Tattva Bijam. Tatra there, Niratishayam means unsurpassed. Sarvajna is all-knowing. Tattva Bijam. Bijam, Tattva is principle. Bijam means the seed. So there, that is in God, is the unsurpassed source of all knowledge. So see the description of God over here, or is first is beyond the cycle of karma, the source of all knowledge. Next is Sutra number 26. Sa esha purvesham api guruhu kalena anavichedat. That God or he, sa means he or that, esha purvesham, all the people who have come before, esha purvesham, api also guruhu, guru is the guru, kalena anavichedat. Kala means time, kalena anavichedat means uninterrupted. Uninterrupted in time, God is the guru of everyone at all times. Okay? So now all of you can understand. Don't put any Babajis or anyone as your gurus, and don't bring any of these people in over there. Think of God in the terms of how the Yoga Sutra tells you, that which is the source of all knowledge and everything. Let's continue. There is something more over here to describe what is the nature of God. So untouched by karma cycle, source of everything, guru of all times, of everyone. Okay. Next, about God is tasya vachakaha pranava. The word pranava, many of you know, is we say it as Om, right? Now, what is the nature of Om? Why the word pranava? What is the meaning of the word pranava? Anu means the smallest particle. Anava means in the nature of the smallest particle. Pranava means the nature of the smallest particle that is connected with the source from which it comes. So in other words, it is the vibration. Vachakaha is how the communication happens. So the communication of God is Om. Pranava is God's communicator. And this is why many of you who might have read the Chandogya Upanishad in the first chapter, first part, it says that the word for Om is called Udgita, the high chant. So it says when you have the Rik and Sama in balance, when you use the Udgita, that is Om, you reach the highest. This is how you can reach and connect with God. So this element of this Om comes in here, that the communicator of God is Om, the communicating vibration. Tat japaha tadartha bhavanam. By meditating on it or by doing japa on it, you are able to understand the meaning of Om, the intended meaning of Om. Tataha pratyak chetana adigamaha api antaraya abhavasya. Think of this. The source of all creation is Om, is what this is telling you over here. Okay? What it's saying is tataha, from this. Pratyak means prati eka. So all chetana is any being that is live. What you think of, remember the word chetana, and an entity that has ability to reprogram, right? Adhigamaha means comes from it. Api antaraya abhavascha. Also antaraya means obstacle. Abhava, not being present also. In other words, what this says is all the live beings, all of it are connected and everything in creation comes from the Om. And often you might have heard, Om is the word or the vibration that is the source of all creation. So that is the real this thing. And once you connect with Om, there are no obstacles. Okay. And so that is effectively the description of the second section. So I'm going to pause over here. So what you saw over here in 6 sutras that come there is the nature of God. Any questions?
Yes, Dr. Rajan. You mentioned that if Rig and Sama are in balance, then Om reveals its intended meaning.
That's the, actually no, Om connects you into the highest. That is what the Chandogya Upanishad says.
So what does balancing Rig and Sama mean?
Okay. So the thing is basically, when you have calmness in your being, the body is relaxed and the mind is quiet, then in which case that is Sama. Then, and that is why you do asanas and pranayamas to calm the physical body and mind. Then after that, when you do your personal mantra, that is the equal and opposite vibration of your programmed system. It is the equal and opposite vibration of your chitta vritti. So when you do that, that is your rik. So once you apply your rik, your personal mantra, that connects you into the cosmic flow. The cosmic flow is called the Rita, And when you're able to use your rik to connect into the cosmic flow, you become a rishi. And in that rishi state, if you're able to have the Udgita, that is the Om, the high chant, that leads you into the highest level of awareness. So now all of you know why in our regular session, we have the Om playing in the background when we do meditation, right?
So isn't it contradictory? You said it's the opposite vibration, right? It's the equal and opposite vibration, the personal mantra. If Om is your personal mantra, then
Om is your personal mantra. It means there is no impurity in your system and you don't need any vibration. You missed the session yesterday, so you can go back and look in that we spoke about Kashmir Shaivism, the 4 types of people who are there. Some people need a personal mantra, their rik, to elevate beyond the body. And people who don't need it, they can go directly to Om.
okay, thank you.
Okay. So now let's go on to the next segment. Somebody has put a note over here. Oh, okay. So here we go to the next section. So the third section,
Thank you, Dr. Rajan.
okay, now we go to the third section here. 1 second. Okay. The third segment, as I already told you yesterday, takes you from the diseased or imbalanced state to the state where you're able to So the third segment talks about where normal people are. You know, you have a pain in the neck, you're unhappy, mind is not satisfied. All of these are imbalances within you. When you're in that kind of a state, you're unable to sit in meditation and be a dispassionate observer, right? So how do you begin the process? So this is where in the introductory chapter, in the third segment of the introductory chapter, Patanjali Muni explains how you begin and where it leads to. So here the journey from Sutra 30 to Sutra 51, so that is what? About 22 sutras. It will take you how by step you can reach the highest state of samadhi. Okay? So this again is an introductory overview, so simplistic. So he is telling you that common people, what is their state? Vyadhi, Sthyana, Samshaya, Pramada, Alasya, Avirati, Bhranti Darshana, Alabdha Bhumikatva, Anavasti Tatvani, Chitta Vikshepaste Antarayaha. But what are the obstacles for you to go in this path of yoga? Those are antarayas. Antaraya means obstacles. And what are the obstacles? Vyadhi means disease. Sthyana means mental inertia. Sanshaya means doubt. Pramada means carelessness, the sense of trivializing everything. Alasya means laziness. Avirati means lack of dispassion or craving for sensual pleasures. Bhranti Darshana means being in a deluded stage, wrong perception. And Alabdha Bhumikatva means the sense of not being able to attain what you want. Anavasti means, Tatvani means the state of not being able to retain what you have, always fear of losing what you have. These kind of states of the body and mind are the states that can prevent you. They come as obstacles to you, so to prevent you from going in the path of meditation. So, how do you deal with it? Before that, he's explaining, when you have these kind of physical or mental imbalances, what does it cause for you? Okay? Dukkha daur manasya angame jatva shwasa prashwasa vikshepa sahabhuvaha. So this creates dukkha, means, as you can understand, unhappiness, misery. Daurmanasya means despondency. Angamejatva means trembling of the body, of the body parts. Shwasa prashwasa means irregular breathing, rapid irregular breathing. Vikshepa, sahaba. Vikshepa means, what would you call it? A vikshepa is malformation or deformation of all of these. Sahabhuvaha means also happen along with that. Misery, despondency, trembling of the body, and irregular inhalation and exhalation exist together with the obstacles noted in the previous sutra. Okay. All of these, when you are in this kind of an imbalanced state, how do you go about it? Tat pratishedartham. Pratishedartham means you can oppose it. Eka tattva abhyasaha. By having a focus on a single place, by having a concentration in one place or focus in one place, you're preventing the mind from going into this kind of thing. So what happens is, if something is troubling you in your mind, what do? Go for a jog and keep your awareness in your breath. Or go do something whereby that you like to do, so that the mind doesn't go into that despondent state and just brooding over things, right? So that's the point he mentions over there. And then from that state, when you're focused on one principle, what kind of approach can you take over here? Various approaches are stated over here. The first statement in Sutra number 33 is actually is about moderation in your attitude or how you deal with life. Thereafter, it goes into a little more of focused elements, but even for moderation, there is mindfulness needed. That means you need focus of your mind. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshanam. Okay, Maitri means friendliness, Karuna means compassion, Mudita means internal joy, Upeksha means to be indifferent, to not be affected, being indifferent. Upekshana. Sukha, Dukkha, Punya, Apunya, Vishayanam. These four natures should be these four elements should be the reaction to Sukha. Means whatever is giving you, what you would call happiness or feeling of comfort, have friendliness towards that, Maitri towards Sukha. Whatever appears to be miserable, have a sense of Karuna, compassion towards it. Whatever seems to be Apunya, that means wicked, whatever is Punya, that is virtuous, have the sense of Mudita or internal joy. And whatever is Apunya, wicked, you be indifferent to it, move away from it. So if you adopt that kind of life orientation, then in which case that helps to become the first step for you, and you have to mindfully do that. So Sukha, Dukkha, Punya, Apunya, Vishayanam, Bhavanataha, attitude of that nature, Chitta Prasadana. Chitta Prasadanam means it makes your Chitta Prasada. Anybody care to tell me the meaning of Prasada, what it means?
Offer.
What is that?
Prasad basically offering.
No.
Reward.
Basically surrender.
Reward.
No. Actually, the root meaning, if you go into, is very interesting. Sadhanam means something that is useful for your purpose in life. Okay? Prasadhanam means that which is divinely connected. So in other words, when you have a prasad, that is the cosmic blessing that is going to be useful for your life. Okay?
Now, can you please The 33, can you please explain it a little bit more with the common words? Little bit more object.
Okay.
Once
So
more.
Maitri means friendliness. It is associated with sukha, feeling good.
So what does it
whatever
mean?
makes you
In
feel,
times of happiness, just feel it.
have
not-
a sense of friendliness towards it.
Okay. Not that get excited.
Don't jump with attitude. Don't have too much reaction, jumping with
Not
joy.
too much reaction. Okay.
And when you see something that is dukkha, miserable, don't feel upset. Instead, have a sense of compassion. And when you see something that is very virtuous, something good being done, somebody who's doing something spiritually meaningful, have a sense of internal joy, mudita. And when you see somebody doing something wicked, be indifferent towards it, move away from it. That kind of a nature, bhavanataha, makes the chitta, makes it as a useful thing for the chitta. Chitta prasadanam means, sadhanam is that which is useful for your life. Prasadanam is the divine element given to you that is useful for your life. Okay. So now, next one, Sutra number 34. Prachardana vidharanabhyam va pranasya. This is simply telling you that by focusing on your life breath, it can also give you that internal awareness and focus, right? Vidharana, dharana means to hold. Vidharana means vishesha dharana. And prachardana means, the idea is to let go in a cosmic way. So in other words, if you think of this as simply breathing, it is a mistake. We have over there, I have written over there, or by expulsion and support of breath. That is not correct. I'll have to change this over here. It is basically being a special holding as well as letting go in a cosmic sense of the life force. That is what really is. And you would, people will often associate this with the pranayama kind of this thing. But what it really is all about is being internally aware of your life force and being focused on it. That is the way to understand this. Bhairavi, you have your hand up?
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. I was going to ask about Sutra 33, about walking away from, that which is not positive. And what about helping other people?
Okay. See, what happens is, this is a very interesting point that Bhairavi brings in, because we are in the first chapter over here, and particularly here, he's talking about people who are in an unbalanced state, how they can go about it. When you're in that unbalanced state, first you need to calm yourself down before you can help other people effectively, right? So by helping other people, it should be done according to your purpose in life, according to your dharma. So the concept of dharma will come later on, but this, in a beginning state, all it's telling you is, first you wear your oxygen mask before you go and try to help others, right?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So now, Sutra number 35. Vishayavati va pravritti utpanna manasaha sthiti nibandhini. Okay. So now you have moderated your attitude and you become more aware of your life force within you. And now you are looking how can you lock your mind in one spot without wandering so that you can lead towards meditation? So what he's saying is Vishayavati means any subject matter that is that seems to attract you. Va or Pravritti Utpanna Manasaha. Pravritti is that which, vritti means what? Activation. Pravritti means internal activation connected to the core. A mind that is very reactive. Okay? So for a mind that is very reactive, what you can do is, if you select some topic, something that is sthiti nibandhini. Sthiti means establishes you and holds you. Nibandhini means, bandha means to hold like a prisoner. Nibandhini means hold it as a prisoner in a special way, right? So any subject matter that will hold a mind that tends to wander will be a good starting place. Or for a mind that has growth of expression, is always wandering or prone to expression, by focusing on an engaging subject matter that would bind it to one spot. Vishokava Jyotishmati. Or you can focus on a blissful light. The term over here, Vishoka is a word that is used. Shoka means grief. Vishoka means Viparita Shoka, opposite of Shoka. What really does it mean? In fact, what happened is, some of you may have observed that when somebody leaves the body, until the body is cremated, there is a lamp that is placed by the side, right? In fact, the fire is considered of three types of fire. Okay? One type of fire is called the one for the final rituals. And the second kind of fire is the kind of fire that is for cooking. And the third kind of fire is for the religious practices. I'm trying to remember the names that are used in Sanskrit. I think the one that is used as a household fire is called Garhapatya, and the one that is used for funeral is called Dakshagni, right? And the other one is called, I don't remember anymore, but the three types of fire that are described over there. So here you don't want the fire that is associated with grief. Vita raga vishayam va chittam. So Vita raga chittam. Vita means bereft of. Raga means attachment. Vishaya is any subject matter. Chittam is, of course, the chitta. Or by thinking about a chitta, that is a program being that is dispassionate without desires or attachments. Okay? So in other words, what happens is, many of you have experienced that if you think of some programmed entity, it could be a human being, it could be a person, it could be an idol in a temple, or some form of spirit. You think of some spirit within you, and immediately you are able to bring calmness to yourself from that peaceful spirit, right? Any spirit that is bereft of attachment, dispassion, if you focus on that spirit, then you can attain that level of focus and calmness within you. This is what in religious parlance is called invocation, right? So you invoke some being, and that gives you that peace and placidity within you. Next is Sutra number 38, Swapna Nidra Jnana Alambanam Va, or by support of the experience of dreams or sleep. So if you have dreams or in a state of sleep, in that kind of the awareness of that being supported by that, you can do this. In fact, what happens is, people who have an agitated mind may have difficulty falling asleep. And we also say deep sleep in many ways is similar to meditation, except that in meditation you don't become unaware, right? Whereas in sleep you are not really conscious. In the meditation you are. So sleep itself can be a good building block for you to progress further. Yatha abhimat dhyanatva. Or by abhimat means whatever feels good to your mind, attractive to or close to your mind. Dhyanat means by meditation, or by meditating on something that is close to your mind or feelings, your own preference. So in other words, all forms of practices are covered here. Thought, breath, visualization, person, dream, whatever pleases the mind, all of these are helpful for one-point focus. Sutra number 40, Paramanu param mahatvantaha asya vashikaraha. It doesn't matter where you focus. Paramanu means the smallest particle. Param mahatvantaha means the biggest thing. Either asya, all of this, of that, vashikaraha. Within that, you can become completely absorbed in. So the point of focus is not important whether it is small or big. Once the mind focuses, it can bear it. You want the kind of thing that can completely, you can get absorbed within it. So here on, Patanjali Muni tells you, he has gone through the process of what are the different ways you can begin from an unbalanced state to bring a one-pointed focus mind. And now he's going to tell you what happens when you have a one-point focus mind. Remember, this is the third section of the first chapter. In the first chapter, in the first section, he has already told you, right? That is, you learn to be a dispassionate observer, and that's what leads to the highest, right? So in the third section, he is empathizing with you, with most people being in an unbalanced state, how you progressively go. So you have become one-point focus. Now in different language, he is going to explain to you the same thing of that samadhi kind of connectivity. But here, he's going to give you a little more detail with a little bit of a simile, okay? So he's going to introduce the term samapatti first, and from samapatti, how samadhi could be understood in a similar way. So that's where he is going, okay? So we have subsided the activation of this thing, that's all good. So now we are ready to go to Sutra number 41 to 51. By being one-pointed focus, what happens? China vritte. China means weakening, decaying off of vritte. Vritte, that is the vrittis or the activations become weakened. Abhijatasya. Jata means being born. Abhijata means being born right in front of you. Out of that, out of the weakening of the activations is born. And what is born? Iva mane grihitra grahana grahyeshu. Okay. Mane means of a crystal. Crystal is something that is completely transparent, pure, right? So when something is pure without anything, any other program within it, grihitra means one who holds. Grahana means to hold. Grahyeshu is the point of holding and the location of holding. So what is it? The holder, the process of holding, and what is being the point of holding? What exactly does it mean? Okay. Iva means like a crystal. If you place something near it, it looks like it has absorbed whatever is near it, and it looks like that. Tathastha, like that. Tata anjanata samapatti. Tathastha, like that. That anjanata means hue, samapatti. So born as a consequence of the weakened expressions, samapatti is like the taking on of the color of a crystal, of an object that is near it, when the knower, the process of knowing, and the object to be known become merged in one. Grahana, grihitra is the knower or the one who holds. Grahana is what is being, the process of holding. Grahyeshu is the object that is being held, or this thing. So this is the process of all coming together. Let's have understood a little deeper, understand this a little deeper. When a person becomes one-pointed focus, slowly over a period of time, you become non-reactive, and slowly all the programs within you dissipate, right? So as the purification takes place, then in which case, wherever is the point of focus, that is where you become absorbed in, right? So what happens is, think of it. Many of you here have had the experience, you're reading a book and you're so absorbed in it, you have no idea that somebody is standing behind you and calling you. Anybody had that experience? There you go. So many of you have that experience. So what has happened in that absorption? You've become so much absorbed within that all the other activations that are around have all fallen off, right? So then what has happened is you become fully engrossed in that thing. There is no distinction between you, what you're reading, and the process of reading. Everything has become one for you. That is what the deep concentration feels like, right? So that is the nature of samapatti. Samapatti literally means becoming one with whatever you are in. So now it is going to break it up into savitarka samapatti and nirvitarka samapatti. Okay? So what happens is, the difference is, in savitarka samapatti, the intent remains in your mind. In nirvitarka, it is like there is a deeper level of cleansing where no program is staying in the mind. In the process, you have become fully engrossed in a way where you even lose a sense of what you're doing. Okay? So the thing is, tatra shabda artha jnana vikalpai. Shabda artha jnana means the awareness of the vibrations that are going on. All of that becomes diluted. Sankirna savitarka. Sankirna in a narrow sense is savitarka samapatti. The savitarka samapatti, the engrossment of savitarka, is when the word or meaning or vibration and the understanding are imagined from a mixed state. Actually, vikalpa means diluted state. Call it as a mixed state. It is called savitarka samapatti, submerged concentration with deliberation within the mind. And the nirvitarka is smriti parishuddha. Smriti parishuddha means the memory is cleared off. Swarupa shunya, as if there is nothing. Iva, as if. Arthamatra nirbhasa nirvitarka, where only the final intent remains but everything has been cleared out. That is called nirvitarka. So this is a very subtle difference. In one case, there is a mixed sense of what you are doing. In another case, you are not even clear on what you are doing. The mind is completely cleared, but somehow you are in the zone of whatever you are sensing. So this is a way Patanjali Muni is trying to convey what a samadhi state could look like. This is not the samadhi state. This is a kind of normal absorption into any kind of material physical activity that you deal with. Now, in Sutra number 44, he is going to explain to you how the samadhi process takes place and how it is similar to samapatti, the absorption. Etaya, in the same way, eva, indeed, savichara nirvichara cha sukshma vishaya vyakhyata. Vyakhyata is explained. Sukshma vishaya means subtle object. The subtle, matter or object. Savichara means, you reflect on it or let go of it, without of it. So in the same way, savichara, reflective approach, and nirvichara, non-reflective approach, related to subtle matters is explained. Sutra number 45, Sukshma Vishayatvam cha alinga paryavasanam. Avasanam means end. Paryavasanam means everything around it, everything is in a fuller sense, it is all complete. So what happens is, how does it fully end in the fuller sense? Sukshma Vishayatvam, any matter that is subtle, if you focus on that, it goes into a state of alinga. Linga means what you would call it as something which has indication or sign. People will typically say linga means gender, but linga really means indicator. Okay, gender is one kind of indication, right? So what happens is all indications cease. Alinga paryavasana. When you're focused on a subtle matter, it reaches a state where there are no signifiers, no indicators in the ultimate state. When there are no indicators in the ultimate state, ta eva sabija samadhi. That is the state of sabija samadhi. Sabija means seed-based. In other words, the seed is the point of focus. So that leads to samadhi. Now, of course, if you read this over here, there is no clarity for you if there is blankness in the mind whether it is samadhi or not, right? If you read Sutra number 45 and 46, you focus on something, everything goes blank, there are no indicators over there, and it says that, that is sabija samadhi. Wait a moment, let's read the next sutra. Next two sutras. Nirvichara Vaisharadhye Adhyatma Prasadaha. So the state of nirvichara means non-reflective state of meditation. Vaisharadhye is the state of being over there. Adhyatma is what is beyond the physical being. Prasada. So the prasada, as you know, is that which makes it useful for you for a beyond the body reason. Adhyatma reason, Adhyatma prasada. So this comes as something that you can that is useful for you, the prasada that has come from the higher level, the ability to be unaffected, without any thoughts, without reflection. Then the next sutra tells you, Ritambhara tatra prajna. Rita is the cosmic flow. Ritambhara means filled with the cosmic flow. Tatra prajna, there, intuitive awareness. So what happens is, when you're connected into the cosmic flow, you get intuitive awareness. There, filled with the knowledge of the cosmic flow, is intuitive knowledge. So what we need to do is, we need to read sutra numbers 45 through 48 together to understand the nature of sabija samadhi. Because if you only read 45, then in which case you will think the mind going blank is sabija samadhi. No. In the sabija samadhi, there is a connection into beyond the body, much beyond, and that gives you the intuitive awareness of the cosmic flow, the intuitive knowledge that comes from cosmic flow, right? If that is not there, simply blanking of the mind is not samadhi. You need to have the connection built in, right? So next is sutra number 49, Shruta Anumana. Shruta means what is heard. Anumana is what you estimate or you deduce. Prajna is actually Shruta Anumana Prajnabhyam. That is, whatever is heard or whatever is estimated or inferred. Relative to that, Prajnabhyam. Prajna is the intuitive awareness. Anya Vishaya Vishesharthatvat. So the intuitive awareness that comes is of a different level of matter or different level of understanding from what you hear and what you infer. So because of the special understanding, prajna Intuitive knowledge relative to knowledge from what has been heard and inferred is another matter.
Nanaji, can you please explain it little more, the last one, 49.
Okay. What happens is, when I tell you something, or anybody tells you something, or in your mind you make a logical deduction, those are all in a different plane of understanding from when you have your direct experience and you have the intuitive knowledge come to you, right? That is what is called pratyaksha pramana. Okay, you are directly experiencing it. You see, when you directly experience, there is no place for any other assumptions. What you hear from somebody and you believe is an assumption, right?
Yeah, so pratyaksha pramana are the vrittis, and then pragya.
No. The thing is, you see, in that particular cases, the pratyaksha, the pramana is the idea of any evidence-based thinking is based upon what you have experienced in life.
Okay.
Right? That is of a different nature. Here, I'm talking of prajna. Prajna is the intuitive awareness, the direct experience in a higher domain, not in the worldly domain.
That's all. Like, if it is pratyaksha pramana on worldly matter, that is what vritti is, but the pragya is not.
Prajna is the pratyaksha pramana in the cosmic sense.
Pratyaksha pramana from the intuitive.
Cosmic sense.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Tadjaha sanskaraha. So from that state where you have the prajna or the intuitive knowledge from the cosmic awareness, tat jaha sanskara, anya sanskara pratibandhi. Let's be careful here. It is talking about sabija samadhi, right? So in the sabija samadhi state, you have from there are born sanskaras. Sanskaras means program pattern. Anya sanskara pratibandhi. So what does it do? You have a set of programs within. Because you have been regularly practicing your meditation, that whenever you use that mantra or that one point of focus, you immediately go into that meditation to silence everything, and you're able to get that connectivity of the cosmos and the intuitive awareness. So at that time, all the programs that you have within you, the new program that has been created by your meditative mantra or point of focus, that new program holds all the other program like a prisoner and inactive for a while as long as you are in meditation. So anya sanskara pratibandhi. Bandhi means to hold like a prisoner. Pratibandhi means towards it, you hold it as this thing. Anya sanskara means all the other programs are being held held without being able to activate. And from the daily practice, tadjaha, from that daily practice is born certain new programs, your meditation program that holds all the other programs that are within you from activation so long as you are in meditation. That is the nature of sabija samadhi. Right? Everybody clear? That is why daily meditation and using the same mantra or same practice that has given you is helpful. Sutra number 51. Tasya api nirodhe, of that too, if you are unaffected by, sarva nirodhat, everything being unaffected by everything, nirbijaha samadhi. So the nirbija samadhi can only happen when there is no more programs left within you. When the programs within you are so light or fully dropped off, then in which case, what happens is, you're unaffected by everything. You can always be in the nirbija meditative connectivity all the time. So this concludes the first chapter. And in the first chapter here, as you have seen, we have looked at 3 segments of the first chapter. The first segment told us about what is the nature of yoga and We all think who we are based upon all the activations of our programs, that is the Chitta Vritti. But then when we are able to be a pure observer without being affected by all of this, we are able to attain the state of meditation whereby we can become fully knowledgeable. But he says it without the use of the word meditation or samadhi in the first section of the first chapter, in simplistic language, in the first segment of the first chapter. Then he says by surrender to God, you can attain the same thing. Then after that, he describes the nature of God. And then after that, he says, for most common people being in an unbalanced state, how you progress from the unbalanced state to moderation, to one-point focus, and from the one-point focus, how the focus becomes so deep that when everything evaporates and you have full engrossment, that engrossment leads to Sabija Samadhi. But that engrossment on that point, to illustrate how the Samadhi engrossment is different, he does a comparison between common engrossment into something external, like reading a book or something like that. That engrossment he calls as Samapatti. And within that, there are two levels. One level is where you have a sense of what you're doing. There is a mixed sense of what you're doing. You're fully focused. The deeper level, where even that goes away, you're simply almost like a engrossed zone state over there. And so this is with a meditative focus on something that is subtle, it can lead to the same kind of experience, but it is something on subtle, not something worldly, where samapatti happens. And something subtle is where samadhi happens. But the key element of samadhi is it leads to a connectivity into the cosmic flow whereby intuitive awareness becomes possible. If intuitive awareness has not happened, then in which case you are not really made the connection, right? So that is not the nature of samadhi. In samadhi, connection must happen. And then he says, when you're fully purified there, and of course, when you use a single mantra or single point of focus on a daily basis, that the moment you sit for meditation with that program, it has already become a program in you, the meditation program. That meditation program holds all the other programs without activation till such time you're finished with your meditation. So that is how the Sabija Samadhi is explained. But when all the inner programs within you have dissipated, you can be in meditation all the time, unaffected by everything. So that is the state of Nirbija Samadhi, where you are not dependent on any seed or any point of focus in order to attain that Samadhi, right? So this is the introductory overview given to you in 3 segments. The first segment and the third segment are really similar, except the third segment now brings the idea of samadhi, and it gives a little more detail of how common people are and how they progress towards the meditative status to experience the level of samadhi, right? So are we, if you want, you can take a break for 5 minutes while I take any questions from anyone, and then we can go on to chapter 2.
Rajan, I have a question.
You just came here. Okay.
All the explanation you gave earlier about the all prescriptions for Indian philosophy disciplines prescribe a guru. So this is saying that you don't get stuck there. Is that you can get the learning but don't get stuck there? Is that the message?
That is exactly the idea. It is actually what happens is the real guru. You see, if you meet a person who is a real person who can guide you spiritually, and if that person has really reached the highest, that person will know that person is only an instrument of the cosmic flow, and that person was meant to share something with you that will help you in your spiritual journey, and that person will have no delusion whatsoever that the person is not the guru at all. So a person who anoints himself as a guru is a person who has not realized the highest.
So, Narayan, just to kind of to understand, the samapatti is like engrossment in anything, right? Like
Right.
a pointed focus.
Yeah.
And then you have sabija and nirbija samadhi.
Yeah.
So, sabija is, with the help of a mantra or something, you're able to attain that status, that state of samadhi for a period of time temporarily, whereas
So long as you're in that meditation program.
right. And nirbija is when you don't need anything
Yeah.
to reach that state. So in the nirbija, so in that state, does it mean that anybody can reach that state anytime you want to? Is that what it means?
That is correct. There is enough purity. Remember, we were talking about yesterday the state of the Shambhopaya of Kashmir Shaivism.
Right.
That we gave example of Ramana Maharshi. You're in that purified state, you mentally ask, who am I? You have all the answers. That is the state of nirbija.
But still, Ramana Maharshi did tapasya for many, many years. Why do you have to do that?
No. Actually, what it is in the case of Ramana Maharshi, at whatever age of 16 or whatever, when he walked away,
right,
that was the state when he had reached the nirbija. And after that, he was simply sitting over there, wondering what to do with his body.
Oh, I see.
Anybody who went to him and asked him, how do we attain what you have attained? He basically says, ask yourself, who am I? The answer will come.
Right.
Because he knew only that way.
Right.
And what had happened is, for him, he was in a state, if he wanted to go and ask, why are other people differently? Why this? Why that? If he had inquired all of those, then he would have gotten all the answers in an instant. But he didn't bother. For him, he had figured, this body is nothing, I'm nothing, who cares? I'm just going to sit, do nothing.
Okay. Thank you. So he was not doing his sadhana after that because he was already attained everything.
Absolutely.
But for a realized yogi like him, to just sit there and not do anything except just give that one sentence, sit and ask, that doesn't seem like dharmic to me.
See, the thing is, I don't want to get into this thing. There are two elements involved over there. One element is, as you can understand, each person is born to fulfill their swadharma.
Mm.
And the second element to understand is that when he left his body, he had a big lump in his throat. He got cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, those two dimensions of it, whether what he did was his swadharma or whether he lacked something and because of that he got cancer, I don't know the answer. We'll just let go of that.
Sure. Thank you.
Dr.
Yes.
Narayan, hi.
Yeah.
Are we then saying, according to the teachings of the Yoga Sutras, that the first being that was created by God already had kleshas or a klesha, and so was blemished? Are we saying that?
Okay. See, what happens is, the Yoga Sutra is a little light on that, because the reason it is light is Yoga Sutra is meant more as a guide for the seeker. So it is focused on, hey, realize it is your underlying program that is causing the problem. Learn to be a pure observer and be unaffected by everything that hits you. And that way you can realize for yourself who you really are. So because it is focused on that, it's a little light on the specifics of that. However, the Sankhya system has clarity in providing the answers that yoga tells you in a very light way without enough details. Okay? The Sankhya system basically says that the first creation coming out of God is what is called Prakriti, the first creation, or you can call it as the first energy with intent and program coming over there. Out of that Prakriti creates the first cosmic chitta. And in the Sankhya philosophy, the first cosmic chitta is called Vasudeva. And the cosmic chitta Vasudeva is only a processor. It has no intention of its own. Now what happens is, it is said that cosmic chitta, which has no intention of its own, Prakriti in time induces the tamoguna to process through the Vasudeva, and the tamoguna creates the 5 elements that we see in nature. And then with the rajoguna, Prakriti, rajoguna working through the processor, gives the ability to think for sentient beings, the intellect. The Vasudeva itself, the processor, is of a sattva-guna. It has no intention of its own. And what happens is, the outflow of Prakriti's program working through Vasudeva, the chitta, is what creates all of the world and everything that you observe. Okay? So that is how it is explained.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so now 5 minutes is over. So your restroom break is done. If you wanted to get food, you could have brought it to your desk. So now let's go on to the second chapter. Okay, so here there are 55 sutras. And as I have already told you yesterday, there are really, in the second chapter, there are 2 segments. In the first segment, it talks about what is the root source of the chittavrittis, that is the kleshas and karmas, and how even a wise person has difficulty not to be affected by them, but if you are able to be unaffected by them, then in which case you can reach the highest. But to reach that highest, you have to cross 7 boundaries that leads to the 8th level of samadhi, right? And then the Ashtanga Yoga comes over there. Okay, so with that in mind, let's progress over here. The opening sutra of the second chapter, and remember, the second chapter is the body of the text. Tapas swadhyaya ishvara pranidhanani kriya yoga. Kriya means action, activation, action. So the yoga, kriya yoga means yoga of action. We are all born for action. That's why we come in this body. So what is the nature of kriya yoga, the active yoga? Tapas swadhyaya ishvara pranidhana. Tapaha means what? It means, we already said yesterday, tapa is heat that burns off the program patterns within us, that is, burns off the programs in us. That is the tapa. Swadhyaya is seeking to know, seeking to learn, swadhyaya. And Ishvara Pranidhana is surrender to God. Actually, embedded over here is the depth of a yoga that has already been said before, and which will be said later on. This body is the vessel of all the programs to fulfill the purpose of creation. So if you let the programs flow and burn themselves out, which means you don't react to it, the program burn themselves out means that is tapas. But along with that tapas, as it's burning out, if you have the attitude of surrender to God and letting go, that is the way you become non-reactive to all that is happening within, right? Now, the next thing is, in order for you to realize what is the nature of yourself, you have to ask the question. If you don't ask the question, if you don't seek, you will not get the answer. Like Ramana Maharshi sought, who am I? He got the answer. He never asked anything more. Right? So, the thing is basically, the swadhyaya is seeking to know. So, effectively leading life without reactivity because you have surrendered to God, and having this the seeker's attitude of wanting to know what is everything about, learning more, that attitude itself prevents you from reacting to things around you. So you become purified. The tapa, it burns off all the programs within, and that is what is active yoga. So you live your life fully, but as a yogi. You don't have to go into a forest or up to the Himalayas and sit in meditation, as long as you know how to lead your life with surrender to God, seeking to know and not being affected by anything around you, so that the programs burn away. Everybody clear? And now everybody understands why the Kriya Yoga system of Lahari Mahashaya, they say you can be a householder and yet you can be a yogi, right? So the idea is that in every act of life, you live it fully, but without reactivity, or with the attitude of surrender to God, that everything in life is for the sake of God, and you seek to know why everything happens, it takes care of itself. So sutra number 2, samadhi bhavanartha. Samadhi bhavanartha means with the intention of getting samadhi. Klesha tanu karana arthascha. Klesha is blemished. Tanu means the physical body. Karana means instrument. Artha cha. So the intention of Kriya Yoga, that is noted over there, is to attain samadhi, and the realization the body with the klesha is an instrument. So the body is only an instrument for you to enable to reach the state of samadhi through Kriya Yoga. And the Kriya Yoga is explained here. Sutra number 3. Avidya asmita raga dvesha abhiniveshaha kleshaha. So he has introduced the word that we have kleshas. In the first birth, we all come with a program given to us. The first sin, right? From a Christian sense. So, what are they? They are 5 in number. The kleshas or the blemishes or the initial programs. Avidya means lack of awareness of what existence is all about. Asmita means me, the sense of an experiencer. Raga means affinities or attachments or likes. Dvesha means aversions, things that you want to be away with. Those are the dveshas. Abhinivesha means me as the doer. So these are the 5 program elements that have been built within a person when they take their first birth. So it says the kleshas are lack of correct perspective, avidya, self-sense of one who experiences. Desire is the raga or attachments, and hatred or aversion is the dvesha, and sense of attachment or sense of self-sense of the doer. Okay. So sutra number 4. Avidya kshetram uttaresham prasupta tanu vichinna udaranam. Okay. Kshetram means domain. The domain of avidya kshetram, the lack of correct perspective, its domain, is uttaresham, means hierarchically above. Uttara means above. Uttaresham. So, think for yourself. The reason avidya is on the top is, as long as you have incorrect perspective of what existence is all about, then you can become more affected by all the affinities and the aversions and me, the sense of the doer and all of that, right? So because you don't have the correct perspective, so that is why it is hierarchically on the top. So if that breaks, others will easily break after that. And what is the nature of avidya? It is prasupta, means subtly within. What will you call it? As dormant. Tanu, this is a short u. Remember, the tanu you saw here in the second sutra means tanu, means the physical body. It's a long u in the end, tanu. Whereas In Sutra number 4, it is Tanu. Tanu means slender, weak. And Vichinna means broken up. Udara means that which is active. Okay? So the field of incorrect perspective of avidya is hierarchically on top, sustaining the other 4 kleshas, whereby whether dormant, weak, broken up, or fully active. Sutra number 5. Anitya. Anitya means that which is not permanent. Ashuchi means that which is not pure. Dukkha means that which is miserable. Anatmasu, that which is not core to the being. Nitya Shuchi Sukha Atma Khyatihi. Khyatihi means to understand. To understand Anitya, that is impermanent, Ashuchi, impure, Dukkha, that is miserable, and Anatmasu, that is not core to you, as Nitya, as permanent, Shuchi, as pure, as Sukha means that which is peaceful, makes you feel good, and Atma, that is core to the being. That understanding is avidya. So think of it this way. Look at how many people, they live through life where they crave for things unendingly, right? And they always think that, they behave like there is no, there is no death coming tomorrow. Till they fall dead, they all think they're going to live forever. So they become very attached to money. They attach to everything, objects, physical things, and all of that. And for little things, bickering, quarreling, and what is, like things that are not pure. Okay, they think that they are pure. Like, think of it. Alcohol is something that draws energy out of you, as a result of which all the worries in the mind also go away, because the energy goes away. And of course, tongue goes loose and they say stupid things. And of course, what happens is people think it's a great idea to have alcohol. So it's a common custom in the Western world that has been adopted all over the world. Friday evening, they all hit the bar, right? So the thing is basically this thinking that what is not really, pure, thinking of it, oh, that is pure, good. There are people who come and tell me, oh, a little alcohol is good for your health, right? So they think that is this. And then whatever is miserable, they think that's what gives you happiness and all the worldly things. Because the more attached you become, if something happens to it, you feel very upset, right? So that attachment, and then what is not core, they think that is the core. Okay? So how do things matter, but yet you feel your attachment over there? That sense of it is avidya. Thinking that what is impermanent, impure, and miserable in nature is actually permanent, pure, and joyful in nature is avidya, or lack of correct perspective. So now he's going to define the other four of the kleshas. Asmita, the drig darshana shaktyoho ekatmata iva asmita. Drig darshana shaktyoho, that means the energy that you feel of whatever you have observed in front of you, that is what is drig darshana shaktyoho. Ekatmata, feeling one with it, as if, iva means as if. That is the sense of asmita. So asmita is me, the sense of being the experiencer. So asmita, or self-sense of an observer, is sensing oneness as if of the energies of the object and process of observation. There are some of you over here who feel vibrations when you go to places or see people, right? That experience you feel is also asmita, me, the experiencer. But of course, we have to remember, if you have any assumptions in your mind, you will only experience your assumptions. Now the next one he's explaining is raga. Raga is, what attracts you, the things that are like desire, that is. Sukha Anushayi Ragaha. Whatever brings you whatever Anushayi means what it rests in. So what the sense of pleasure or happiness, where it rests in, that is the nature of your attractions or desire. That which follows from sense of joy or pleasure is raga or desire. Dukkha Anushayi Dvesha. Whatever follows from feeling of misery, that is what you want to be averse from, the dvesha for you. Swarasavahi vidusha api tatha arudha abhinivesha. Vidusha means one who is a learned person. Api also. Tatha means and. Arudha means riding upon. Swarasavahi. Swarasa means me. The me factor. Vahi means carrier. I am the carrier. So even a learned person who feels I am the carrier and stays feeling mounted on that sense, I am the carrier, that sense is abhinivesha. It's literally me, the doer. That is the nature of abhinivesha. Abhinivesha is the sense that one controls the flow of one's energy, sense of doership, that even learned people are established or mounted on. So the word we need to correct it over here. Vaha means to carry. So Swarasavahi, I am the one who is the carrier, is the more literal meaning over there.
Bhajanji, is that same as ego? Or what?
I will explain that in a moment over here. This is very interesting. The concept that is explained here in yoga has a parallel in the Vedanta system. In the Vedanta system, you will say Manas, Buddhi and Ahankara. Manas is the mind, Buddhi is the intellect, and Ahankara is the ego, are the three elements that work with the chitta to make who you are, right? Mano, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chittani, Na, Aham, Shivoham, Shivoham. Many of you have heard of that, right? That Vedantic approach. Now here, the chitta operates with the 5 kleshas in order to produce the chitta vritti. And so the 5 kleshas given are avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, in comparison to the Vedantic system of manas, buddhi and ahankara. So the manas, buddhi, ahankara are split into 5 elements over here instead of 3. So where is the buddhi element? The buddhi element or lack of the buddhi element is the avidya. Whereas the role of the manas is to classify everything as desirable and undesirable. And that is the raga and dvesha over here. And the role of the ahankara, that is what is properly referred to as ego, is divided into me as the experiencer and me as the doer. So ego has 2 sides to it that yoga parses out. And in fact, as you go along, you will find, actually it has already been said in Sutra number 17 of the first chapter, that you need asmita in order to become samprajnataha after you do vitarka, vichara, ananda, asmita, anugama, samprajnataha, right? So what happens is, in the yogic system we say, the ego part that gives you the self-sense of the experiencer is something you need even in order to experience the divine. Whereas the ego part of the sense of the doership needs to go. So yoga is careful in parsing the ego into 2 parts, me the experiencer and me the doer. So Ashokji, isn't that interesting?
This is fascinating, absolutely. And fits really well.
Yeah.
But Naranji, but finally even the asmita has to go in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, right?
If the asmita, no. In you see what happens is, Without asmita, you will have no awareness.
Okay.
And asmita will only go when the being is completely dissolved.
Yes, that is the final state of samadhi.
There is no more the state where the soul is dissolved and there is nothing left.
If that is the case, then why is it a klesha? Then it's something you need it.
See, the concept of klesha that is put in is a program entity. If the word used is klesha, see what happens is anything that is created has come out of a program. If you think before creation as the sattva state, any activation, any program is a klesha. That is getting going down, descending from the highest level, coming low.
But in the category of these 5, all other avidya, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha are really kleshas in a negative sense, but asmita doesn't seem to fit that category.
Well, it is a program. I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
In fact, only if you have asmita, you can even go to heaven.
Right.
Okay. And if asmita is not there, then you also get dissolved. There is no heaven after that.
In other words, Anandi, I think the way we are thinking, klesha means bad, it is wrong. It's not about bad or good. It is
We
just
should call it as a deviation.
Yes.
Maybe deviation is the right word rather than impurity.
Sure. But still, that asmita is different from all other rest of the 4.
Absolutely.
Whatever category we...
Actually, asmita and avidya are of a special category. In fact, the opposite of avidya, vidya and asmita together is what gives all the higher spiritual realizations.
Those two goes together. Yeah.
Okay. So you can see over here the 5 kleshas that we mapped with the Vedanta system as manas, buddhi and ahankara. These become the sanskara elements, the underlying sanskara elements. Sanskara are the programmed entities. And sometimes you also use the word vasana. And by the way, this is for the initial creation. Karmas are created when, because of avidya, you start reacting in your first creation, and that's how you create new karmas and creation gets propagated into rebirths. So, the sanskaras generate, going through the processor, that is the chitta. These programs generate vibrations that are called gunas in the yogic language. And the gunas generate actions and everything else that happen in the world. And everything that happens in the world can be dharmic or adharmic. And when you have reactions to the actions that are happening, the reactions that happen are of 3 natures. First is called adharma karma, that is going against one's nature. Second is reaction karmas, sense of achievement or sense of guilt. And the third kind of karmas are unfulfilled desires karmas. So these 3 kinds of reactions happen. Going against what the cosmos made you, feeling sense of achievement or guilt, or the sense of unfulfilled desires because of everything that you observe over there. Okay? So these karmas impel you, these karmas become part of the remaining sanskaras that stay, that are not fully finished in the lifetime. And these 2 together, of course, are called the vasanas in the next lifetime. And they produce additional gunas in a new lifetime that help to stimulate that new action to perpetuate the production of new karmas. And so the karma cycle and rebirth all go and start like this. So this is how from the first creation the chain works. Right? Everybody okay?
Can you explain a little bit more about tapas, Narayananji?
Okay. So tapas is the state of burning off karmas by being a pure observer. If you have karmas and kleshas, by becoming a pure observer, you burn off all the programs. That is the nature of tapas. So this is how the cycle of creation takes place. The original program impelling in the lifetime to make you who you are, and your reactivity creates new programs, and the remaining programs from the original and the new programs together propagates a new lifetime until you realize you are not going to get affected by anything. That is the tapas. Eventually you get out of the cycle of birth and rebirth and karmas and all of that.
So is in order to attain tapas, you need to have asmita, right?
See, obviously, when you have me, the sense of the experiencer, means there is a mind involved over there, or something that is acting, reacting, thinking. So that thinking being says, I don't want to react to anything other than what is my swadharma, wherever I need to engage, right, to fulfill the purpose for which I'm born. Now, how will you know what is the purpose for which you are born? Until you're doing regular meditation and you feel the connectivity within that tells you in your conscience, this is what I should do and this is what I should not do, you would not know that, right?
Yes.
So all of it hang together. So Sanjeev ji, you have a question. Go ahead.
Rajanji, this Prarabdha and Purushartha.
Yeah.
Prarabdha is destined and what we are experiencing as a destiny. Purushartha is the efforts that we need to do as an individual, right?
See,
so
what you're saying is a different way from the Vedic system of explaining, which is a very good way, and it matches right over here. Since you have brought it up, we should actually, discuss it further. So let me get out of the sharing mode. And what Sanjeev ji brought up over here is, in the first creation, we get whatever is the bundle of programs which we need to fulfill through the life, right? Those are called kleshas in yoga. Now, then we go on to create more karmas, and then life can propagate with all the remaining kleshas and karmas and all of that. Now, in the Vedantic system, it is said that any given person at any point in time could have prarabdha karma, means all the karmas or kleshas with which they have come into this lifetime. Then they say that there may be sanchita karma, that is, there are accumulated karma which was too much to come into this lifetime, which can exist over there for another lifetime to come. And then there is the third concept of agami karma. That is the karmas that will be created in your lifetime, which will come later on, right? So this concept is there in the Vedantic system. And then, of course, there is the concept of your effort to work through it. And the effort to work through it, called purusharthas, are considered fourfolds. The purushas are called dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And in fact, the purusharthas are complete in sync with the yogic system. So the purusharthas are all about how to lead your life. The first job in life is to learn to be in sync with yourself. And how do you learn to be, in order to understand what you should be doing in life, your dharma. So to understand your dharma, you do daily meditative practices. And that meditative practices, you get insight as to what you should be doing and what you should not be doing. That is the goal of your first purushartha, dharma. Is what is your goal, purpose in life is understood. Now, once you and typically it is associated when you're, it is more important, I should say it's predominant, when you are younger in life. When you are younger in life, you want to learn and understand what you want to be, what you want to do, and all of that, and be in sync with what the cosmic plan is. Then, once you have absorbed that, then you get into engagement in the worldly actions of life. And the worldly actions of life are called artha. And then as the worldly actions in life that are engaged in a dharmic way, when you engage in a dharmic way, slowly your karmas and kleshas reduce. And when they reduce, you reach a stage in life where you're coming towards your sunset years, when you're asking the question, what is the meaning of life? Okay? So from there, the third element or the effort in life is the desire to understand who am I, and that is called karma. Many people interpret karma to mean desire as sexual desires and things like that. In the Vedantic system, that's a misunderstanding. The Purushartha is all about the desire to know who am I, what is the meaning of all existence. And that leads to the moksha state. The moksha state is the state where you're unaffected by everything, the body falls, you merge into the cosmos, whatever, go to heaven, whatever that happens. So the concept of effort in living your life, the dharma, artha, kama, moksha, these are called the purusharthas. And typically they are also associated with the Vedic concept of stages of living, which I don't need to go to over here. Okay? So coming back now, you can see all the connections here coming through. So once again, actually let's complete this section, and after we complete this section, we can go further into the review of the whole section as a whole. Okay, so the sutra number 10 says, how do you counter all these kleshas? Te pratiprasava heyaha sukshmaha. Pratiprasava. Prasava means to give birth. Now, pratiprasava means they come towards you. And when they come towards you, how do you, heyaha means to oppose. How do you oppose it or counter it? In a sukshmaha means subtle way. Subtle opposition counters them, the kleshas. Dhyana heyaha tadvritayaha. By doing meditation or dhyana, you are able to be unaffected by the vrittis or the activation of the kleshas that work through the chitta, right? Tad, there, vritayaha is the expression of the activation. Klesha, Sutra number 12, Klesha Moola Karma Ashayo Drashta Adrishta Janma Vedaniyaha. With the kleshas as the moola or the root, Karma Ashayo is resting on the karmas. With the kleshas and the karmas and resting on it, Drashta Adrishta. Drashta means what is seen, Adrishta is what is not seen. Janma Vedaniyaha. Janma Vedaniya means Janma is birth, Vedaniya is experiences. So the experiences of birth that are seen and not seen, at its root lies the kleshas and supported by the karmas. That is how you get all the life experiences. The root klesha with supporting karmas causes sufferings or experiences in births that are seen and not seen, future births. Sutra number 13, Sati Mule. Sati Mule means at the end of the destruction. Sati means the end of one lifetime. Sati Mule, Tad Vipako, Jati Ayu Bhogaha. So when one termination ends, at the end of it, whatever are the karmas and kleshas are there, the fruitioning of it. Vipaka means fruitioning. Tad, that, fruitioning of that, determines Jati Ayu Bhogaha. Jati means circumstances of your birth. Ayu means longevity. Bhogaha means experiences. So from the roots of destruction or end of a lifetime, it fruitions in species or race. Actually, I don't like that. It should be, we should call it as the circumstances of your birth, longevity and experiences. All of it come from all the karmas and kleshas that you have. Sutra number 14.
Naranji, for the first one, can you give some example? 10.
Which first?
2.10. 2.1. Yeah.
The example is there in Sutra number 11. How do you oppose these kleshas in a subtle way? By doing meditation. Okay. So these experiences that come in your lifetime, what are their nature? They hlada paritapa phalaha. Hlada, what makes you happy? Paritapa, what makes you regretful? Phalaha, fruit. Punya hetutvat. Hetutvat means because of the cause. Is punya is happy, good karmas, and apunya is bad karmas. So the experiences of birth, are pleasurable or miserable fruit caused by punya, pleasant reactions of past, and apunya, regrets of the past. Parinama tapa sanskara dukkhai gunavritti virodhat cha dukkham eva sarvam vivekinaha. Vivekinaha means the people who have discrimination, people who have discriminate understanding. So what do these people who have discriminate understanding conclude? They conclude dukkham eva sarvam. Everything is miserable. That's the conclusion they come to. Why? Because parinama, result, tapa sanskara dukkhaihi gunavritti virodhat. Because as a result of tapa sanskara means the programs within you that create tapa or paritapa, that is regrets, all of those, they cause miserable experiences that come in the form, that manifest in the form of gunas, and they create the vrittis over there, that is the activations that come in front of you and how you react. And your reaction is to oppose it, virodhat. When a miserable thing comes, you say, I don't want it. And you oppose it, and mentally you're angry with it or whatever. That actually creates new parinama tapa. It actually creates new resulting programs, as a result of which you will have more lifetimes to come and more things to engage with. And therefore, people who have understood discriminatively come to the conclusion, everything is dukkha, everything is miserable. So the discriminating person indeed understands everything to be miserable, coming from the result of miserable sanskaras and opposing the expression of the gunas, and thus forming new karmas which will come back in the form of miserable experiences again. Heyam dukkham anagatam. Therefore, the discriminating person understands you have to oppose even the dukkhas or the miserable things that have not yet come. So one seeks to oppose the miseries that have not yet come, relating to the future. How do you do that? The cause to be opposed, the drashta drishyoho sanyogo heya hetuhu. The cause, heya hetuhu, is the cause to be opposed, is drashta drishyo sanyoga. Whatever you see or whatever you experience, that the association with that experience needs to be opposed. So in other words, whatever you experience, if you say it is my experience, that association of me with it has to be opposed. In other words, something terrible happens, you say it has happened, meant to be. You don't associate yourself. You don't say it is me that happened. And the moment you say me that happened, you will get happiness or unhappiness out of that. You will get pleasant reaction, unpleasant reaction out of that. So the moment you oppose the association with whatever that is happening, that is the way for you to get out of that circle of karma formations. Yeah, Kashi.
So basically the feeling of, oh, this happened because of me, and feeling bad about a situation, or the other way, the situation is happening because of him or because of other situation it is happening to me. Both needs to be avoided, right? Is that so?
Exactly. Bring yourself out of it. Let it happen. Don't associate it with yourself.
Yeah.
And by the way, there is a very good system. This is how you cleanse your system. You see, the concept of cleansing is to take away the association. And there are, within the religious systems, there are various kinds of things built in to let go of that. In fact, in the Roman Catholicism, they have this practice called confession. Even if you do something, you kill a person and you go and confess to the priest blesses you and say you're absolved, and this thing you let go out of it. Many of you know about the confession system in Roman Catholicism, right? That way you get it out of your system and your association. Similarly, the same kind of purification thing is there within the traditional Hindu system also, where once a year, when people change their sacred thread, they do what is called the Kamokarishi Mahamantra Japa. They do the japa to mentally say, everything that has happened is because of anger and desire, and I am not anger and I am not desire, and I dissociate myself with everything. That's the way mentally you purify everything. Anyway, coming to Sutra number 18. Prakasha Kriya Sthiti Sheelam. Prakasha means enlightened. Kriya means active. Sthiti means established. Sheelam, nature. These three words, Prakasha, Kriya, Sthiti, over here, are representing the nature of the energy flow. So you can think of them as the gunas. Prakasha is, enlightened is the Sattva guna. Kriya is the Rajo guna. Sthiti is the Tamo guna. Sheelam, the nature, gunas. Bhuta Indriya Atmakam. Bhoga Apavargartham Drishyam. So how do you dissociate yourself with whatever you experience? That is what is being told here in Sutra 18 relative to the statement in Sutra 70. How do you do it? Because the bhuta is whatever is created, indriya is the sensations, and the core, the atmakam, the core of that, all the sensations that come to you, is embedded in the nature of the three gunas. And the nature of the three gunas, whatever it activates with you, you basically make all of that meaningless in your mind. Apavargartham means it doesn't matter. You negate it. Varga means what? Classification. Apavargartham means declassified. You basically say it has no meaning. Let go. That is the nature of being, having a how you interact or how you observe whatever is coming out of this. So one perceives with or without judgmental intent based on one's nature of luminous, that is luminous, that is sattva, hyperactive, inert nature, referring to the three gunas that fill the innermost of all physical instruments of sense, that is the sensory faculties of perception and action. So the gunas are the one that are running through you, and so long as they run through, you don't associate any with it. You're a pure observer without associating yourself with what you observe.
Basically, non-discriminatory approach towards that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what happens is, what is the nature of the vibrations that flow through you? And how do you understand them? The role of the gunas is explained in the next three sutras. Vishesha means specific. Avishesha means non-specific. Linga means indicative. Matra alone, or matra. And then linga matra means indicative alone. And alingani means, alinga means not indicative. This is the nature of how gunas can be observed. Guna parvani, parva means the spread of it, of the gunas. So the spread or division of the gunas are specific, non-specific, nominal, that is indicative, and without characteristic, not indicative. Okay. So how is this understood? Actually, the person who gives clarity on this is Vyasa in his commentary on the Yoga Sutras. And that is given to you in the blue box right at the bottom. The specificity of the gunas are, according to Vyasa, are the 5 elements, the 5 attributes, and the 11 sensory organs. The 11th sensory organ is the mind that classifies everything. The 10 sensory organs, you understand, the 5 organs of actions and the 5 organs of perception. The non-specific is the asmita, that me, the experiencer. The experiencer is simply non-specific, just observes, doesn't classify, and doesn't think of the gunas as good or bad. Nominal is when you think of the whatever you experience as something pleasant or unpleasant. And on the other hand, when it is without characteristic, it means you're looking at it as an observer without thinking of it as something that is pleasant or unpleasant, as if nothing matters. Drashta, that is one who sees. Drishyamatra, that is the sight alone. Shuddha api pratyaya anupashyaha. Anupashyaha means the seeing process, the person who is seeing. Pratyaya means whatever you react to it, that is your conviction or whatever you feel from it. When the Shuddha means pure, Api means also. So the person who sees, Drashta, and it is Drishyamatra, only the sight, the person who sees indeed with pure conviction, or actually pure conviction is with pure, however they observe it with purity, is only an instrument of seeing. So they are only a Drishyamatra. So they are the person who sees is only seeing the sight as an instrument, is the nature of a person who is only a pure seer. And why does they bring in? If you're purely seeing, then there is no association with what you see. By having no association with what you see, you cannot have any karmas being created. Tadhartha eva drishyasya atma. That alone is the meaning of the sight. So in other words, the nature of seeing only as a seer, without any reaction, without classifying what you see, that is how you're able to remove association with whatever you experience, as was noted in Sutra number 17. So that is what is being explained through this process. Now, that is the way for you to escape creating karmas. So that is the end of the previous paragraph. Now he is going to tell you over here that most people are unable to do that. Why? And how do you go about it? So it is in this context he is going to introduce later on the eightfold Ashtanga Yoga process. And that is what will help you to reach a stage where you can be a pure observer without associating yourself with whatever you observe, your experiences in life. So here, commonly, Krithartham prati nashtam api anashtam tad anya sadharanatvat. Sadharanatvat means during ordinarily, anya people are, the different sense that is people have ordinarily is that towards everything they have a sense of something that is profitable, unprofitable, purposeful, desirable, undesirable. The moment they have that, they have associated themselves with whatever they experience, right? which is what you want to avoid. Because of the normally different perception, one attributes the purpose of action to be, or purpose of action or experience to be profitable or unprofitable, desirable or undesirable. Swaswami Shaktyoho Swarupa Upalabdhi Hetuhu Sanyogaha. This has already been said earlier. That is, because you think you are the carrier of your efforts and you are the doer, that is the association that makes you think of all the experiences as purposeful, as profitable or unprofitable, desirable or undesirable. So, Swa means your, Swami, you are the Shaktyoho, you are the controller of all your energies. Swarupa Upalabdhi, and whatever you get for the results, I reap the actions of what I do. So what I get is because I put in the effort. That kind of thinking. Hetuhu is the association. So there is the association of the individual's controlled energies that causes what one begets. Thinking I am the doer of what I reap reward is what results in the association with everything that you do and experience. Tasya hetuhu avidya. The cause of that is avidya, or the lack of the correct perception. So because you think you are the doer, all the associations come along, and that is the biggest problem. Tad abhava sanyoga abhava hana tad drishe kaivalyam. In the absence of the sense of me the doer and me the person, who is experiencing everything as a classification, good, bad, and all of that, the absence of that breaks the association, and the cause of all of that problems that come in the karma that comes, you have opposed that. As a result of that, you become liberated. Kaivalyam, as we said yesterday, is the sense of being unaffected, becoming separated, right? So because of its absence, that is the sense of me the doer, without the association, cessation of that view is kaivalyam, or freedom in isolation. And how does that happen? Viveka khyatihi aviplava hana upaya. Upaya is the solution. The solution that delivers for you is, because of discriminative understanding, viveka khyatihi, aviplava means becoming non-reactive. The solution is being non-reactive because of discriminative understanding. Now, how do you reach that stage? Because common people have so much difficulty, they always think they are the doer, right? Tasya saptadha pranta bhumihi prajnaha. To understand the intuitive knowledge of this, that to attain that, is you have to cross sevenfold demarcated zones. Pranta means demarcated zone. Sometimes pranta is also said to be province. How do you understand pranta? Anta means something that has an end or a border. Pranta means, in an inner sense, something that has a border. So that is how you cross. Tasya saptadha means sevenfold. Of that sevenfold, pranta bhumihi, that is, there are sevenfold demarcated zones that you need to cross for intuitive knowledge, prajna. Of this are sevenfold demarcated zones for intuitive knowledge. And what are they? Well, the yoga anga anushtanat. By the anushtanat means by performance of the components of yoga, yoga anga. Ashuddhi chaye, the impurity wears away. Jnana deeptihi, the enlightenment dawns on you or enlightens you. Aviveka khyate, as a result of viveka or discriminative understanding arising. So because of the problem, because of the program of yoga aspects, yoga anushtanat, after waning of impurities, the light of knowledge comes with discriminative understanding. And so now he is going to tell you the 8 parts of yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhayaha, Ashtau Angani. So the 8 parts of yoga are Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So let me break over here and point out the sequence how you have come over here so far. What has happened is, in the 2nd chapter, Patanjali is going into the root of the Chitta Vritti. What is the root of the Chitta Vritti? All your innate programs. The innate programs of first creation are called kleshas. And what he is saying is that the purpose of all these kleshas is for you to perform Kriya Yoga. And what is the Kriya Yoga? You let all the programs run through you unaffected. And how can you be unaffected? By surrender to God and seeking to know why. And by having that kind of an approach, nothing matters. You're dispassionately observing, recognizing the body is only an instrument to fulfill all these programs that are there within. So this is how, through Kriya Yoga, you have liberation. After he says this, he goes on to each one of the 5 kleshas that are there that causes the problem of how you can become reactive. And when you're reactive, you create new karmas and you get into the cycle of the karmas. And so with discriminative understanding, you try to get out of it, but it's very difficult to give up the sense of me, the doer, for even a wisest person. And so the key to doing that is you have to give up association with whatever you experience and do. You should not have the sense of me, the one who is doing all of this and experiencing all of this. You just want to be a pure observer without association with what you observe. And that is how you get out of the cycle of this karma. And since it's difficult to do, he is basically telling you that there is a 7-fold boundaries you can cross with the system of yoga, the yoga anushtana, and that is the 8-fold yoga, Ashtanga yoga, that's being explained over here. So you can see now, in the 1st chapter, it was an overview in simple language. In the 2nd chapter, he is actually telling you how you should approach to burn off all the karmas. In the 1st chapter, he has told you, you have to be a pure observer and you have to practice that daily. Abhyasa vairagya abhyam chittavritti nirodha, right? So he has already said that for you in the 1st chapter. So here he has given the root elements and how to progress. So now he is going to tell us about each one of these elements of the Ashtanga Yoga, more details as a guide to the seeker as to how to approach the state of yoga, right? Any questions before we launch on to the Ashtanga Yoga? Okay, so we still have 20 minutes time, so we can at least cover Yama and Niyama, hopefully. I see something in the chat box. Okay, so let's go here. Okay, so here we come to Ashtanga Yoga. We know what they are. So now he is going to define for you Yama and Niyama. He is giving this kind of a definition for people in that age, 5,400 years back. Okay, but in this age, we have already defined Yama for you yesterday. Being true to your conscience is what Yama is all about, right? So here, Sutra number 30, in a detailed way, he gives Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Parigraha, Yamaha. The Yamas are not hurting others wantonly, purposeful, without purpose, truthfulness, not stealing, curiosity to learn, and not being covetous. Aparigraha, means not seeking to get, whatever is all around you. Covetousness, possessiveness, getting other people's. Parigraha means wanting what others have. So you not having this thing, that is what yama. Now, next he goes on to say, ete, all of these, jati desha kala samaya anavichinnaha sarvabhuma mahavratam. Sarvabhauma mahavratam means always true at any time. This is a supreme observance. Mahavratam is a supreme observance. Sarvabhauma at all times, at every place. That is, ete jati desha kala samaya anavichinnaha. Anavichinna is unbroken by jati, the place of birth, the circumstances of birth, desha, place of birth, kala, epoch of birth, and samaya, time of birth. Irrespective of all of them, unbroken by that, this is always valid. So, think of it. You have a mosquito sitting on you and biting you. If you beat it with the hand and kill it, is it himsa or is there ahimsa over there? Are you allowed to kill a mosquito biting you?
Yes.
Yes.
Does it violate ahimsa?
No.
No. Why? Because the concept of ahimsa is wanton, or the concept of himsa is wanton violence, purposeless killing. Okay? So purposeless killing is what is himsa. Ahimsa is not engaging in purposeless killing. So if somebody is attacking you and you, in order to protect yourself, you beat them up, perfectly okay. No ahimsa is violated. Okay? So the next one is ahimsa satya. Satya means truthfulness. What is truthfulness? See, the thing is basically, if somebody comes and asks you, how do I look? And in your heart you want to tell them, well, honestly you want to tell them you look ugly, right? Is that being truthful and right? No.
Actually not, yeah, because
No,
it
it's
will be
not.
hurting the person.
No.
The concept of truth is that which does not violate. You see, in all of the elements of the yama is, you should be honest to your conscience. So if somebody comes and this thing and says, how do I look? You say, okay. Right? So the thing is, you don't have to say we look beautiful. You can say you're okay. Right? You don't have to say a word that is hurtful. So the thing is basically, similarly, think of a thing where, any truth that is going to hurt a person, you can say things without being untruthful. See, you should not say a lie. But on the other hand, you don't need to say a truth that is hurtful. Right? If somebody asks, how do I look? You can say, okay, even though if you try to be very discriminative, you may say something else, right? So this is the concept of when we talk about Satya.
Rajanji, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is truth absolute or relative?
The truth is as you perceive it.
Yeah, so it is,
for instance,
it is different for everybody.
Exactly. Truth is different for everybody and as you perceive it. And so if in your mind, before they discovered the world was round, if you went and said the world is flat because that's what you thought was the truth, you were not lying. In your mind, so the key idea of truthfulness of being ahimsa, satya, all of this is being true to your conscience. The next one is astheya. Astheya means not stealing. What is the meaning of not stealing? It is again in your mind. Okay? In the sense, I always give an example, right? You're walking along the sidewalk on a street over there. You find a nice mango that is fallen on the ground. You pick up that mango and take it with you. Is that stealing?
No.
Probably not, right? But then you see that there is a branch over somebody's fence that is coming over, and they have a mango tree inside that fence in their garden over there, and the mango has fallen from a branch that has come over the fence, and the mango has fallen over there. Now, for you, you realize that, and you ask yourself, oh, that mango belongs to that home. Should I go and give the mango over there, or it has fallen on the street, I take it with you?
Take it with you.
Take it with you? Fine. So in your case it is, well, whatever is the logic within you, if you feel there is no violation in your conscience by taking it with you, that's fine. But the thing is, you see, this is where how you perceive it makes it whether stealing or not. For you, you may perceive it, well, if the owner had really cared about the tree and wanted it, he would have already picked the mango. It's fallen on the street, it is public property, I'm taking and walking along, right? So it is entirely in the mind of the perceiver. But now, you see the mango that is inside the, the fenced area, or let's say it is hanging up on the tree very close over there. You reach out and you want to go and pull the mango and pluck the mango, right? Or if you cross the fence and you take the mango from there, is that stealing? See, all of this is particularly in the mind of how the person perceives. If you think it is stealing, it is stealing. If you think there is no stealing, oh, it's okay, this thing, then there is nothing. So that is why I keep saying again and again, yama means being true to your conscience. These things over there given are examples over there for Patanjali, given the time and space that is involved over there. Okay? Now, the next two that come in, the most important of the five over there is the fourth one.
Before we
Brahmacharya. Yes?
What you have just now said is that the basic determining factor is your conscience.
Yes.
So if somebody's conscience is distorted, then what happens? Good example that comes to my mind is Trump taking...
No, that is where the fourth one comes.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Brahmacharya.
Mm-hmm.
What is the meaning of Brahmacharya?
Seeking to know.
Yes, curiosity to know. But know what? Brahma means all of creation. Charya is to move, to seek in all of creation. So, to move over there, Brahmacharya means curiosity to learn. And so, when you seek to learn through your meditative process, you recognize the truth of the cosmic understanding of your conscience. So, Ashokji, that's the answer. Okay? So, the thing is, of course, and the last point is aparigraha. Aparigraha is not seeking what others have, saying, I want this, I want that, that person has it, I want it kind of thing, So, like, for example, Putin wants Ukraine, right? That is called parigraha. What somebody else has, he wants, right? So, so this is so you can see how Brahmacharya is what I call as the capping stone of what yama is all about and how you understand the ahimsa, asteya, satya, asteya and aparigraha. They have to be all understood along with Brahmacharya. By the way, it is because I gave you yesterday the historical review of how Hatha Yoga came with the influence of Buddhism, right? So the thing is basically, but now you can understand, it is in that context that lot of people have made brahmacharya to mean celibacy. Brahmacharya has nothing to do with celibacy. Brahmacharya is seeking to know the nature of existence. Okay? And by the way, it's not me alone who is saying it. In the Vyasa Bhashya, in the commentary of Vyasa, he states it specifically. Brahmacharya is the elevation of the mind to seek to know what everything is all about.
So in that sense, we all are brahmacharis?
Absolutely. Seeking to know. A lifetime we can be brahmacharis, but early on in lifetime we are predominantly brahmacharis. And if you look at a baby, you know what it means. Right from child, the eyes are looking everywhere. It wants to know everything about what. And a lot of parents, when they have a young child and asking whys for everything, tires them out. Why is this? Why is that? Right? You have children who ask that?
Yes.
So that is brahmacharya.
But it is not seeking to know someone else's social security number and birthday. So
that is what is called fishing and seeking to steal, right? Okay. So Saraswati, you have your hands up.
Yes, Dr. Rajan. So you were talking, I feel like talking about what is right and what is wrong. You can have your own perception and feel not guilty about it. You have your own circle, but the other person who is living with you or working with you may not have the same standards, right? And that's where the conflict comes. So how do you deal with that?
The answer is what Ashokji said. Somebody who has a deviated sense of their conscience, where they're not really listening to their conscience within, they are mentally justifying. The concept of conscience is that which is divinely connected into the cosmic intelligence. And that is what brahmacharya is all about.
Okay.
And Naranji, that conscience is not the deluded perception or with discrimination.
The conscience is not a mental thing. It is a spiritual thing.
Yes.
And that is why you can recognize your conscience only if you do daily meditation. You take that quietness time to seek within. And you can only have that effectively enough if you have Ishvara Pranidhana, and that will come as part of the niyama. And that is why I told you yesterday, yama and niyama alone can lead you to the highest in yoga. Right? Okay. So now what is going to happen is...
Even for people who are very high level of consciousness, there could be a lot of subjectivity in terms of interpreting what is a particular instance is absolutely satya or relatively satya, right?
When somebody calls themselves a Sadguru, and the Yoga Sutra says that Guru is only God, and every person who reaches the highest realizes they are only an instrument of the cosmic flow. Moment you put yourself on the pedestal, you can be sure that you have not reached the highest on yoga, right? So what happens is, what people perceive and call themselves as yogis and give themselves denominations, name, pedestal, and all of these guru names, you can be certain that they may have high level of spiritual experience, but that doesn't mean they have reached the highest.
Thank you.
Okay. So in that one sentence, we have thrown all the worlds of guru into the trash can. Okay.
Rajanji, the implication of what you're saying is that many people in the world have delusion about their conscience. Because
absolutely
justifying all kinds of wrong actions
absolutely
by that statement.
Yeah.
And I didn't even say I count all Republicans in there.
Anyway, So you say this yama and niyama are things you need to ponder and think about. And what is the true nature of the conscience? And why daily meditation and introspective practices is needed. And unless you have the attitude of letting go and surrendering to God, you will not find the true nature of conscience, because you will always bring your I into it. The moment you bring the I into it, you bring all your desires into it, in which case you cannot have purity of conscience. Okay, shall we proceed? Okay, so let's continue. Oh, okay, let me get this out. Yeah, if I have it on presentation mode, when I quit the screen, it creates a problem. After going, I can go into presentation mode. Okay. So he has already said that yamas are universal in nature. These are universal great observances that are not different or by race or community, country or era or time. It is there for everyone. You have to be true to your conscience. That's some substance of it. Now, so yama has nothing to do with morality. It has got to be truth with conscience. See, what happens is morality is a large part that is culturally defined. You see, what happens is, like, for example, there are tribes in Africa where people are in their final last stages. They will take the body and put it in the woods over there where hyenas and animals will come and eat the body, and the person is not fully dead. Okay? And they similarly, but from their philosophy and perspective, we are all part of the cycle of life. Now, while they were growing up, they were killing the animals and eating. And so now the end has come, so you give yourself to the animals. So that's how they perceive it. So, and similarly, what happens is, if you look at the Norwegian countries, in Norwegian countries, the concept of having formal marriage is not essential. They will, man and woman will live together for many years, have children together and all of that. And the concept of marriage is not like the way it is for other people. For other places, they think it's sinful if you live with a person without marriage, right? So all of these morality concepts we need to get away from. We need to look at it in terms of the true understanding of the conscience when you have meditative connectivity with the cosmic flow. Now let's look at niyama. And by the way, the yama he has given you only in a nutshell. He's going to give more about niyama after discussing at a top level of niyama. So shaucha, santosha, tapaha, swadhyaya, Ishvara pranidhanani niyamaha. So what is niyama? Shaucha means having purity, cleanliness within. Santosha, contentment. Tapaha is seeking to burn the impurities, programs within you. Swadhyaya, Ishvara pranidhanani niyamaha. Actually, when we come over here, I'll point out to you, forget shaucha and santosha. Look at tapas, swadhyani, ishvara pranidhanani. Remember, kriya yoga. That was what was the first sutra of the second chapter. So the yoga of action, whereby by surrendering everything to God, you purify yourself and you seek to learn in swadhyaya. That's how you purify. So you already know the kriya yoga element is coming in tapas, swadhyaya and ishvara pranidhana, right? Now, you add in front of it shaucha and santosha. That is purity, cleanliness, and contentment. So now what happens is, you with purity, that is cleanliness, and santosha, contentment, with surrender of everything to God, when you lead your action with seeking to know the purpose of life and all of that, you cleanse yourself. But not only you cleanse yourself, but you have regularity in living. Daily you wake up about the same time, you have your rituals, you have a little prayer, meditation, whatever you do, you engage with all the actions of daily life. That is how you complete your swadharma in the worldly sense, that is all the worldly actions. And then you're also seeking to know who you are. And then that is how purification takes place. Think of the purusharthas that were mentioned. That is artha and kama. The dharma, artha, kama, and then leading to moksha. So all of that are present in the way in which you conduct your daily actions. Now, next sutra. So the niyamas are cleanliness, contentment, activities, burning of karmas, self-study, surrender to God. Sutra number 33, vitarka badhane pratyaksha bhavanam. Anytime you want to deviate from your niyama, what will happen? In your mind it will come, hey, I have to, today I have to do this or that, and therefore, I cannot keep my niyama for today, right? So then the mind comes, there are special reasons why I have to violate my niyama. So then in which case what happens is, vitarka bhavane, when a logic arises or a question arises in your mind, that takes you away and binds you in avoiding your niyama, pratipaksha bhavanam. Then you start thinking, what will happen if I violate my niyama? So by this thought process, arguments that bind are addressed by opposing thoughts. So what happens is, you will find very often, people will always find an excuse why they cannot do their meditation practice on a single day, right? So what happens is, once you start giving excuses, you will give excuses more and more often, and your regularity will be lost. So this is the point he is making. Don't find the convenient loophole to break your niyama. And after this statement, so how do you deal with the breaking of the niyama? He says, vitarka hinsa deha kritakarita anumodita lobha krodha moha purvaka mrudu madhya adhimatra dukkha ajnana ananta phala iti pratipaksha bhavanam. So pratipaksha bhavanam, the opposing thought that prevents you from breaking your niyama, is that the final element will be that it will cause pain. How will if you break the niyama, it will cause pain? Hinsa deha. So what happens is, to break it, you do some, actually look at the word kritakarita. Kritakarita means whatever you have done, that is kritakarita. Anumodita, you have sanctioned it mentally. And why have you sanctioned it? Because of lobha, greed, krodha, anger, moha, infatuation. After all of these, because of all of these, it could also lead to something that can be hurtful to somebody. And by logic of this lobha, krodha, moha, that is greed, anger, and infatuation, you have sanctioned it for yourself. And having done that, what happens? It results in mridu, little, madhya, moderate, adhi, matra, in magnitude, dukkha, ajnana, ananta phala. It results in karmas that result in dukkha, misery, with ajnana, lack of understanding, ananta, unending, phala. Phala is unending fruition, that all these comes back. This is what is called pratipaksha bhavanam. Iti pratipaksha bhavanam, that is the opposing thought. By arguments, acts that cause pain are done, caused to be done, and approved, motivated by greed, anger, infatuation, of little, moderate, or high degree, are opposed by this thought of the fruit of unending misery and ignorance. So this is something that I've already explained. So that is why when you have Vitarka Bhavane, Pratipaksha Bhavanam, what that Pratipaksha Bhavanam is explained over here. Now, from here on, Patanjali is going to go into details of what each one of the yamas are and what is each one of the niyamas are. So I will stop over here and we'll continue from this next weekend. But I have already given you the sum substance of the yamas and niyamas, right? So we are in a good place to resume next weekend. We'll send you this recording, as well as I will send you the PDF of the PowerPoint. Some of the translations from the previous time, I'm not happy about it. I'll correct it today, and I will send you all of this later today or by tomorrow. Okay?
Thank you very much. Avni. Avni yesterday sent 2 mails. They both are the same mails?
One was the subject line was an error. That's why I just resent it the same email.
I didn't receive anything. This is Ashok Gupta.
Yeah, never mind. I will actually send you later on.
Thank you.
I will repeat sending. It will be comprehensive and all of it is in one place, right? So effectively, it gives you the scope for revision before you come back next Saturday.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajan.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.